Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant. Grant, just you and I tonight.
Same
Did
role.
not record last week. We're not going to be recording over July 4th, but we'll be back on the airwaves following one of the best holidays on the calendar. But Grant, we got a few updates. News is always happening in the sports world.
Yep.
And last night was the Birmingham Squadron party?
Yeah. Wednesday night downtown at the Edge, a new place down in Homewood. Cool spot with a bunch of little restaurants and like a huge outdoor area with this huge TV where we were watching the first round of the NBA draft. So yeah, it was a good time.
Okay. It's called the Edge.
The Edge, Homewood. Yeah, it's been open maybe 4 months. It's right on Greenspank.
Now, are the Squadron, help me out here, Grant, are they G League?
Yeah, they're the G League affiliate for the Pelicans. So yeah.
This is going to sound so bad. I had no idea Birmingham had a G League team.
This is just finished year 3. Yeah, year 3. So it's super quick. So
okay, was it a good turnout?
Yeah, it was a pretty good turnout. A little bit of rain kind of stopped there in the middle, but once it was like 20 minutes, everything was fine. So Squadron's coach got up there and talked for a little bit, just talking about the team and what he's been through the last few years and what's coming up next year. Coach Acuff was there with Sanford, just kind of make an appearance, talk a little bit in front of the crowd, and then kind of just hang out with us out there. So yeah, it was good to kind of actually get face to face, kind of get to meet with him officially ever since I was there for his introduction, obviously covering that, but I could meet him officially and his wife last night. So
it's cool that they invited him. Was Kennedy there?
No, AK was not there. No.
Interesting.
No.
Interesting. Like, why did they just invite Sanford? Just because it was in Homewood?
Yeah, I assume it was just in Homewood, and then Coach Acuff and his wife Kelly came with a bunch of other Sanford sports people. So yeah, they were all down there hanging out. It was good.
Okay, right on.
Good fun time. Yeah.
So what did he say? He addressed the crowd?
He was just talking about basketball in Birmingham and how it's on the rise, and whether it's going to Squadron, Sanford, you're going to find a good atmosphere, good people, kind of just getting the good groove of kind of, us talk about Alabama and they're moving up in basketball. So yeah, there's a good basketball all around the city right now. So yeah.
Have you been to a Squadron game, Grant?
It's been a year or two, but I have been to a couple. Yeah.
Where do they play?
They play at they played the BJCC downtown.
Okay.
So it's still too big for the type of atmosphere and crowd they have, but like there's really nowhere else for them to play.
Where are they going to come? Panhandle? Like, that'd be insane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are Birmingham Southern? They're going to play over there where no one is. Yeah,
they can. I've actually watched a game in that arena. It's not that bad.
I played a team camp, a couple of team camps in high school. We'd always go down there and go hang out, like the cafeteria, hang out there all day, play like 5 or 6 basketball games a day. So yeah, I've done there too.
All right, so you got a chance to meet him, talk to him a little bit, tell us the vibe. What did he say? What'd you ask? That kind of thing.
Just talking about the area. He and his wife is big golfers. They're talking about all the different golf courses they play and all the different kind of things.
What better city?
Exactly. Yes. They were talking through all the different couple courses they played in their 50-something days in Birmingham. Found a place to live for the moment. So yeah, just checking out their surroundings and kind of getting familiar with the place, checking out all the little restaurants, talking about Soho Social, Odie's, all the different Sanford kind of sponsored hangouts that they're all checking out. So yeah, it was fun, a good time to meet them. So
be curious to see where they settle. Are they going to be a Mountain Brook family, Vestavia, Homewood? They're going to move outside of the city, get a little acreage.
His daughter is in Homewood. She's little, like he said that she's literally like 5 or 10 minutes from campus. So I would assume pretty close to that family. But just a matter of finding the right house, obviously, in this kind of market right now. So,
did he say anything about the season?
No, not really. Just kept it kind of basic. Just talking about the area and said, "No,
how many games are you going to win, Coach?"
Exactly. I'm not going to be like, who was that Crimson reporter? I forgot her name. Where she was like, "How you gonna get us back to the NCAA tournament, Coach?" Like I didn't ask him any of that.
Great question, though. Great question, though. How much NIL are we dealing with? How much NIL, Coach?
Yeah, exactly.
You shipping it in?
Yeah, we were working. How much per player? How we doing this and that. But yeah, I guess the team's only been here for maybe a week to 10 days working with team camps. They've been busy with team camps and helping all the kids and campers last couple of weeks. They've been pretty busy with that. So,
that's something that we haven't touched on too much, but at least when you have, despite the chaos of the transfer portal, at least when you have a staff staying consistent from year to year, there's even less turbulence, even when you have all new faces basically on the team. I cannot imagine what it's like to be a new recruit coming into Sanford, playing for a new coaching staff who's learning the ropes, who doesn't even necessarily know their way around campus. Not that
Yeah.
campus is that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see, or excited to hear kind of the rumors coming out of some of these workouts. And because I remember 2 years ago, the vibes of the team matched how the team performed. The
Yeah.
off-season vibes. I mean, like everyone always wins the off-season, quote unquote, but we really heard like these guys were gelling together, playing well together without coaches around, working hard in the gym, whatnot. Didn't hear
Yeah.
that as much the next year. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. All of our contacts are gone, Grant. So you got to start, you know, working the working the phone lines a little bit to drum up some intel.
Who said they were all gone? I'm not saying that. I don't know. I don't know who's saying that. Who's saying that they're in the same thing down there where they're undefeated right now. So as everyone loves them down there. Like Bucky keeps mentioning that too. Like the coaches beating your desk. It's like we're undefeated right now. So like the people are awesome, people are great, but once the games happen, of course, the
Yeah,
grind of the SEC and
it's
whatnot.
gonna
But
be Bucky's gonna be in for a slightly different microscope down in College Station than he was in
yeah,
Birmingham. But well, that's great. Glad to know that Birmingham has a G League team, that there's professional basketball. Uh, I just can't believe I guess I had to have known that. I just didn't. I don't know. That's
yeah,
something I didn't retain. Couple things though hit the headlines for Sanford this past couple weeks. The men's tennis team earned a pretty respectable ranking from the ITA for a region. We got 8 in the Southern region. 5 of those 8 of the top 8 are in the SEC, so pretty good. Ondas was ranked 16th individually in the region, which is I'm just gonna say that's really good. It
yeah.
sounds really good to have a top 16 tennis player in the Southeast or the Southern region. We should figure out exactly how many states that entails, because it's going to be more impressive if it includes states like Texas, or even if it goes all the way up to Virginia.
Let's find out. But yeah,
And we were talking about this before we recorded, but I think I want to say, and we talked about this when we were talking about how well the Tennessee did this past year. I want to say it was back when Mike and Jeb and I were in college that the tennis team had this level of a regional ranking. They might have hit this point at some point in the last 10 years as well, but I don't think so. It just, for whatever reason, I think this is probably one of our highest in the last 10, 15 years, which is great. It's great. Um, the other thing that the school put out, Bulldogs in the pros, so they ran through our current professional baseball players. When I saw the article, Grant, I was like, oh, are they going to talk about football and basketball? Because our boy Jermaine going
that's
back, it's Finland, right? It's going back to Finland.
going back to
Um,
Finland, playing for a new team in Finland
yep.
next year, staying in the same league. But yeah, just signed a 1 year deal with a new team. Katja, I believe, is how you pronounce their team. He was actually here this past week. I saw a picture. He was working the aforementioned basketball camps. He was helping
Oh,
out the new
nice,
coaching
nice.
staff. So it's cool seeing him on campus. I think Ariel Schaefer from CBS interviewed him. He's going to be on local CBS. If you can go find that after that gets posted. So yeah, he's hanging around before he heads back over to Finland and
Dude, we
plays some
gotta
pro basketball. So
we gotta get him back on here to hear about what Finland is like.
yeah,
That's a,
exactly. Yeah.
it's not an easy place to live. That's
Uh-uh.
not an easy place to live.
Yeah, jeez.
At least
Yeah.
his job is in the winter, so he doesn't necessarily have to like find things to do in the winter.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyway, baseball players. So we got Jacob Cravey, obviously stud, drafted in the 6th round. He's in single A with the Orioles. He's appeared in 13 games, 6 so far this season for the Delmarva Shorebirds.
incredible
No
name.
idea where Delmarva is. Carson Hobbs, 11th round in the 23 draft to the Dodgers. He's playing for the single A team, the Great Lake Loons. Pretty good. I love the Loons is more, I think, more fun than the Shorebirds, even though they're probably very similar looking birds, one for the ocean, one for the lake.
Yeah, yeah,
Samuel Strickland, 19th round in the 21 draft to the Braves. He's playing for the Rome Emperors, double A. He was one of, I think, 2 guys on this list that's out of single A, which is awesome. Garrett Howe, everybody remembers Garrett. 11th round in the 24 draft to the Guardians. He's in single A Lynchburg Hillcats. Lynchburg,
that's
beautiful, beautiful spot in America.
it's not as cool of a name as the Loon or
It's
the
not. The Hillcats, what is that? Like it's not a mountain lion. It's not a cougar. It's a hill cat. Like what?
Yeah, that logo is not. Yeah, that's not fun either.
They need an ownership change.
Yeah.
Michael Ross, 18th round of the 24 draft, the Minnesota Twins. Love this team. The Fort Myers Mighty Muscles. How good is that? Single A. The Mighty Muscles. And
That
then
looks like a that looks like a backyard baseball logo. I'm staring at it right now. It looks like one of those like
for sure.
humongous or whatever it was. Yeah.
The funny thing is it could definitely be a steroid era mascot. It's kind of funny that they have a jacked mascot in the new era of baseball. Although I will stand by this, the 23 Rangers, love to see those dope tests considering their record at the moment. Anyway, neither
Yeah,
here nor
look,
there.
he's definitely on roids. Look at that logo. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
come on.
the Mighty Muscles.
That's incredible.
Last but not least, Stephen Jones, 21st round pick in the 2019 draft of the Rockies, playing Double A. San Antonio Missions. They actually might be Triple A, but I think they're Double A. I'll check real quick. That is in the Padres organization now, so no longer with the Rockies. But I like that. I like that they put something out like this. I want to see this for the other sports, though. I mean, obviously we could do something like this, but it's a whole lot better when someone else does it
Yeah.
for you.
I think Jeb brought it up or someone. I forgot who. I think it was actually a mention from somebody emailed us like, "Hey, y'all should do this." So we're like, "Oh yeah, it's a good idea." And yeah, just like everything,
It is a
it's
good
like,
idea.
It
It
is,
is a
but yeah,
steady request. It's a
yeah,
steady request both on Twitter and in the emails. But it's also one of those things where it takes a lot of effort to maintain the list.
yeah.
Think about the effort you put in with the portal tracker, Grant. It wouldn't be to that extent.
No, it would
Um,
be.
but then especially for the basketball guys, there's so many different leagues in Europe. It's almost impossible to keep track of them.
It's insane.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be a very granular process that is a little too tedious. But I don't know. Maybe with the help of AI, we'll be able to do it. Who knows?
It is a good idea. So I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, but
It
that's
is a
fine.
good idea.
Yeah.
Agreed. Last thing, Grant, we haven't really talked about all the realignment going on the FCS level. So, in case you are not aware, the big headline is Sacramento State, who has a billionaire donor. They got the headlines last year with somebody coming out and saying that they have 25 or 30 million dollars in NIL ready to roll, which is absurd. Turned out not to be true.
Yeah.
But as part of this effort, they were going to FBS. Everything was worked out. The small little catch is they never had a conference invite, but they're like, oh, we're going to go independent. We're going to go independent. All of our other sports are going to stay back, but our football team's going to push ahead. Well, they found out from the NCAA that their waiver, essentially, I guess, a waiver to be an independent in the FBS was rejected, and they have retained the same attorney that's helped them navigate this process. I'd probably find a different cat if he's the one that got me in this pickle to begin with, but they've retained the same attorney to see if there's a way to sue the NCAA
Of course.
in order to get to the FBS. So that's an interesting realignment case to watch. I don't know why they would want to be an independent in the FBS. I know that Massachusetts did it for a while, but I mean, who thinks of the UMass Minutemen at all? No one. And now they're going to the MAC. And I think it kind of ruins the MAC a little bit. I think it kind of ruins it, the purity at least of the MAC. But anyway, so it's hard to go independent. I know that Army and Navy did it for a long time, and then they were invited to the American. Trying to think of any. James Madison, I think, was independent for one season before they ended up going to the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but at the same time, are they positioning themselves to go into the new Pac-12? Texas State announced that they're going to be joining the Pac-12, but that's on the heels of Memphis and somebody else rejected the invitation to join. Tulane?
No, not Tulane.
I wanted to say Tulane. It was UNLV. Oh, UNLV staying put in the Mountain West.
Yeah, they're staying put. Yeah, but yeah, I still want to say Tulane, but
So I guess Sac State was thinking, okay, maybe if we go independent, we can earn our way to the Pac-12, which at the moment is on pace to have about double the TV revenue of the Mountain West, but about the same as the American. So like fairly competitive for G5. Anyway, all that said, Sac State has taken the headlines from the FCS as far as realignment, but so much is going on. I mean, Grant, this week or this month, and then in May, or no, April and May, you had Villanova and William and Mary announce they're leaving the
Yeah,
CAA. Which, okay, Grant, at what point did the CAA change from the Colonial Athletic to the Coastal Athletic Association? I thought it was always Colonial, but it's now Coastal.
it's it's coastal.
Yeah, right?
Huh? What? Yeah, yeah.
When did that change?
Formerly the Colonial. 2024 or 2023 was the last year. It was called the Colonial, according to shout out
Okay,
Wikipedia.
okay,
Uh, yeah, yeah. Now they're the Coastal Athletic Association.
yeah, interesting. So you have Villanova and William and Mary ditching them. Villanova is going to the Patriot League. William and Mary, are they going to the Patriot League too?
Football.
Well, while you look that up, they're leaving the CAA. So the CAA had 14 teams originally. Now they're down to 12.
Yeah,
And the interesting thing here is the CAA added two HBCUs several years ago that always kind of seemed not to fit in. In fact, most of this conference, especially now that William and Mary and Villanova are gone, just as a hodgepodge of schools. And it's NCANT and I'm Hampton, maybe. I'm blanking on the other HBCU in the CAA, but there's a good chance that now that those dominoes have fallen, that they leave for the MEAC. If they leave for the MEAC, which they should, frankly, you are then down to 10 teams. Well, guess who's sitting there as kind of, ripe pickings for the SoCon, but Campbell and Elon. UNC Wilmington has been put out there, but they don't play football. Not sure we would look for a football or non-football entity or non-football playing university, but
yeah.
Elon and Campbell plug and play in the SoCon. That would bring us up to 12 football schools, and we could have a legit talk about increasing the legitimacy of the conference. You go from 10 to 12. I mean, I don't really know if that it strengthens it from a scheduling perspective, but it does get us out of the round robin, which I do love. I do love the round robin.
Yeah, William and Mary is joining the Patriots, so they're moving on. So yeah, so all this to say, it's a trickle down effect as like even not even mentioning the UAC football conference and the ASUN forming another alliance. I love how all the alliances work out. With that way, they're spreading out football, but they're going to be two separate conferences. But they're UAC's taking football schools. It's very confusing. But again,
Oh, well, dude, let's talk about that. Yeah, so we'll get back to the Campbell Young, but yeah, Grant, talk about that. So the UAC, who everybody remembers, West Georgia is a member of, North Alabama is a member of, hodgepodge of schools that came together 2 or 3 years ago. Took over essentially the WAC plus some.
yeah,
Just poached all of the football playing ASUN schools, which is insane because the ASUN is, quote, going to focus on basketball.
yeah. So yeah, the UAC would be Tarleton, Abilene Christian, UT Arlington, EKU, North Alabama, Austin P, Central Arkansas, and West Georgia. And then those ASUN schools that don't have football, Bellarmine, Lipscomb, Queens, Jacksonville, North Florida, Stetson, and then Florida Gulf Coast don't field football teams. Yeah, alliances forming in 2026. Again, this is like the third or fourth alliance we've had in college football. The first one worked out great over COVID. That one worked out tremendously. But yeah, it's weird just having football partnership with the WAC could kind of dissolve and become the UAC. UAC is about to have their third season as a conference, which
Yep.
West Georgia joined last year. So yeah, very confusing. All that to say that the SoCon is looking to potentially adding, like we've been saying, two football playing schools in Elon, which at Campbell would kind of be two perfect fits, especially if a school like North Alabama stays in the UAC and joins that alliance and not joins the SoCon or something like that.
I don't know what the ASUN is thinking. Like, if we were to put this in FBS terms, this is very much akin to the ACC taking all the Big East football and then letting the Big East basketball stay intact. And it's like, okay, at what point does the UAC in this case say, actually, we just want everyone to come to the conference, and then the ASUN is dead?
Yeah.
I could see that happening pretty quickly. I think I said there were 10 teams. Nine. We have 9 football teams. So if you add 2, that's 11. 11's a weird combination. I feel like you need an even number because you'd have to have divisions at that point, which would be very fun to talk about. But how would that? Because the FCS just voted, they got a waiver to go to 12 games. So they now
Yeah.
have 12. I guess the bye game doesn't count, so 13 on the schedule. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I can't remember if the bye game counts or not, like you said, but yeah, Sanford has, but they played 12 the last 2 years, but now it's in effect everyone can go to 12 games now next year. So obviously we're gonna have 12 last year, had 11. Furman got canceled because of the hurricane,
Right.
but Sanford 2 bye games this year, as we've been saying. Baylor and Texas A&M maybe help out with a little bit of potential rev share coming on down the pipeline. But yeah, go to 12 games, and then we'll see where the SoCon this is kind of the last week before you kind of want to have it announced, your realignment before July 1st, because that's obviously when the new league year kicks in for everybody. So this would be the week to get some news before July 1st, which is why we got the news of the whole ASUN UAC type thing changing up. So yeah, so it was reported that SoCon is looking at football. Like we said, it's just a matter of will they add those schools in the next year or two.
The other question, I don't think there are conference championship games on the FCS level. So how,
No,
if
shit.
you have 12 teams, that would get so sticky. How would you, if you don't have a championship game and you're not going to play everybody, how would you declare a champion if there's a
Yeah.
tie and they didn't play each other?
Yeah, I love how we went from the old day of divisions, FBS style divisions. We've gone away from divisions. Now we go through these whole tiebreaker scenarios, like you said. But yeah, how do you say you haven't played everybody, but you're still the champ after?
Because
Yeah, that's
what's terrible about this, all right. So you have this realignment, right? You have the CAA, which is just a dead man walking, especially football wise. I mean, who do they have left? Albany, basically. Pretty poor football conference, but they're going to get an auto bid. They're going to get an auto bid. The ASUN. I think they're going to lose. I don't think they're getting an auto bid for the 4 remaining. I don't think that's happening. But if they did, that would be insane. But I think there will not be an ASUN football conference, so that kind of helps. But because there's no conference championship, the way the SoCon works now is beautiful. You know,
yeah,
we have everyone plays each other. If we added 2 more schools, you get 11. Not everyone is going to play each other. And then how do you decide who wins? Because they get the automatic bid to the playoffs. I, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. Now that I think about that, at first I was like, "Oh, this is great. We're
yeah,
going to add teams potentially."
yeah.
I think
Yeah, I have trouble figuring out the basketball tiebreaker scenarios. Don't even get me started on football. Like trying to figure out like
seriously, yes.
how go, because especially basketball, we got all the seeds and whatnot for tournaments, but you don't have that for football, obviously. But yeah,
It would
yeah.
also
So
be
starting,
great for baseball. One last thing, Campbell, good baseball program. Everybody remembers the Knoxville. Everybody remembers the Knoxville region. Um, so that'd be good for baseball. Elon, I'm no idea about their baseball squad, but what are you gonna say, Grant?
and Elon was in the SoCon from 2003 to 2013 before joining the Coastal Athletic Association in 2014. But just going the 12 games moving forward, FCS programs will be able to compete in 12 regular season games every year, with the regular season starting 13 weeks before the FCS championship selection dates. So yeah, 12 games, 1 bye week in there. The move provides programs greater scheduling flexibility and eliminates the first contest date exceptions, according to the new release that the NCAA put out. So with those changes, FCS programs can begin their seasons in the week 0 without any other requirements, such as playing Hawaii or whatever, which we've seen Stanford play that week 0 game before when they played Youngstown State over at the Crampton Bowl 1 year, a few years
That's
ago,
right.
which Mercer's playing in that game this year. They're playing UC Davis in that game in Montgomery this year. That
I hope they get rocked.
ESPN. Yeah, so you get that ESPN time slot week 0, that afternoon game in the old Crampton Bowl they have. So yeah, 12 games. Stanford has 12 games this year. So I would assume that stays the same, and it helps you have more bye games, which is why Stanford has 2 bye games this year.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, a lot of realignment happening on the FCS level. A lot of it not necessarily making sense. I can't wrap my head around why the ASUN. My only thinking is the ASUN has their only leverage was to say, hey, how about you leave for football, but we have such a good basketball thing going for us. But it's only a matter of time before the UAC schools pump money into the basketball programs. Um, I don't see a happy ending for the ASUN. Anytime you just let schools go for football, it's not a good sign. And then with the CAA essentially collapse, I mean, there's a chance, Grant, that the CAA will have entirely collapsed by the time the season kicks off for the next season, for the next year. Because Villanova and William and Mary are still in the conference for this upcoming season. It's 2026 that they're leaving. But as soon as those two schools, two stalwarts of the conference, two of the best football teams in the conference in the nation, are leaving, you're telling me that those other administrators are not calling up some of the other conferences? Especially because I think what drove this was the CAA's decision to use Flow Sports as their uh, broadcast partner. And look, I don't like the monopoly that ESPN has, but the one pro to the monopoly is it allows us to watch Sanford sports when for the last 30, 40 years, you have not been able to do that. So there is a huge blessing in that fact that ESPN controls most of the market. And the CA decided not to go down the ESPN route and instead chose the jankiest of jank with Flow Sports. If you ever tuned in, it was quite a ride if you could even get it to play. And that was after you breached the paywall. So,
Hey, yeah,
um,
after you paid $29.99 a month for
which
Flow
is
Sports.
an insane price. Like,
That's it.
that's tough. That's tough.
Or there's Flow College, so you can just do just college. That's only $20 a month. So that's your Netflix plus a little bump there for to
It
watch your
reminds
kid
me,
play
Grant,
football.
of I don't know how many of y'all watch high school football, but the NFHS network has
Yep.
monopolized playoff football, some regular season football. But if I want to watch my high school in Tennessee, used to, they had a stream that the students would broadcast, and they still do that for the regular season, and it's awesome.
That's nice.
Um, the postseason, it's the same stream, but it's licensed through the NFHS platform, so I have to
Yeah.
pay for the month.
Yep.
It's only like $10, but still, it's annoying to pay for something that used to be free. So I have a feeling it was probably like that because for $30, that's an insane price. That's
Yeah, that
more expensive than Netflix.
yeah, that's insane. Yeah, cool. Just add another subscription to your 2,500 subscriptions you already have to go.
Exactly.
And if it in FHS, that's impossible to say. That's $14 a month right now if you sign up right now. So
No, price has gone up. That's a
yeah,
bummer. I don't like to hear that. Come November when I'm paying for it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the flow sports that has to play into this. It'll be interesting to see. The CAA did release statements. Listen, so the CAA's official statement on Villanova's departure on June 5th was, "We were recently made aware of Villanova's decision to leave the CAA football conference at the conclusion of the 2025 season. While the departure of members is always disappointing, it
mm-hmm.
has become an unfortunate part of the landscape of college athletics during a period of unprecedented change.
Yep,
The administrators, coaches, and student athletes in the CAA remain committed to competing at the highest level of FCS football, achieving multiple playoff bids on a yearly basis, they won't, and contending for national championships, they won't. The CAA has a long history of excellence in FCS football that just walked out the door, and the desire to build on that tradition has never been stronger. No kidding, your two big dogs just left." I mean, how good is that? The desire to build on that tradition has never been stronger, and yet that foundation has never been weaker. It's a
it's
dead man
always
walking, man.
foundation's never been stronger. We're fully committed to excellence. We just run down the list of phrases that are in every one of these announcements. This unprecedented college way of college athletics. You just go down the list of all the different statements where it's like, oh, I can't believe we're talking about this again. But
You
yeah,
ready? You ready for the remaining members? So there's one team on here that has a good football program, and that is Albany. You ready for the rest? Bryant
Great
University,
Danes.
Campbell,
Okay,
Elon, Hampton. Okay, Hampton was the other HBCU. University of Maine, not terrible, but pretty bad.
Black Bears.
Monmouth, New Hampshire,
The Eagles,
NCANT,
Aggies.
usually not that good, but like sometimes has a good player too.
I've had a couple years, yeah.
Towson, Rhode Island, and Stony Brook. I mean, that is a banger of a football conference, said literally no one. Grant, they lost Delaware, national champion,
FBS
Richmond,
team.
national champion,
Yep.
Villanova, and William and Mary.
Yep.
That's like the SEC losing Alabama, Georgia,
Georgia.
LSU, and going to irritate everyone if I don't name the right team here. I guess Tennessee, the old SEC, Tennessee, and still saying you're a good Florida, and still saying you're a good football conference. You're not. You're
Let's see if
just
Florida's
not.
one. Yeah, that's tough.
You're a glorified ACC at that point, which we all know is dog water.
Yeah, it's just the trickle down effect. It started with a long time ago, but yeah, it just works and finds your way eventually. I guess with this new round, it's Texas and OU going to the SEC, starting the whole trickle down of everything happening. But this newest wave before the last one was when A&M Mizzou went the whole Big 12, Pac-12 thing. We're going to go to Pac-12 schools, SEC. When A&M Missouri basically joined the SEC, it was kind of the first wave before this.
It's weird. If I were the FCS, I don't like they're admitting 3 more schools this year, 4 more schools. None of them are that intriguing. The schools being added are Lindenwood,
Okay,
East
the school of
Texas
Kansas.
A&M,
That
West
was
Georgia was
Commerce.
last year.
Yeah.
Mercyhurst.
Mercyhurst. Okay.
I thought they went bankrupt. Did I not read that they went bankrupt? Mercyhurst.
I don't know. Gotta be honest, haven't been up on my Mercyhurst athletics knowledge.
I just want to say they were in the news for some reason. Outside of them going up a level, maybe not though. According in my AI overview on Google, there is no indication that Mercyhurst University is currently bankrupt. Okay.
Google AI is never wrong, so sucks
New
to be you.
Haven. Okay. Texas
Okay.
Rio Grande Valley. Fun. Now that's a fun school for everything but football.
TRGV. Yeah, they used to be Texas Pan American back in the day.
Very fun baseball program, but
Yeah.
football, it's too hot. No one wants to go down there and play football.
It's their first year of football coming up this year, so
like I said,
yeah,
like it's gonna be tough. And then Chicago State.
Yeah, Wesley Cardette fame. Yeah, Chicago State.
What are we doing? Like, what are we looking like? If I'm the SES, is growing really? I get that losing the big dogs. I mean, losing a school like Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, some of these big schools, James Madison, Old Dominion, that's tough. No one likes that. At the same time, replacing them with schools like this, really?
Is
that out of the answer?
He just run out of schools at that point. It's like, I guess we'll take them. It's like you don't feel good about it, but you kind of have to.
But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's nice, I guess, we're all under the NCAA umbrella, but
for now,
I don't know. Yep. All right. Well, Grant, anything else before we wrap this thing up?
Just know Sanford won't be moving anytime soon. They're going to stay right where they are, so we won't have to worry about any move up, especially with the payment. It was $500K to go to FBS. Now it's $5 million. You get a pony up, and of course, like no one's going to be paying that. So
no,
so
Sac State really wanted to. They're going to try 10, and they got rejected.
They're going to try. See, 2 weeks ago we talked about the House settlement and lawyers, and then this week we talked about realignment. So that's a fun June summer podcast before we finally get to media day, and then get to August, the season starts, and then we're here football, and then and then we're off and rolling for Coach Hatcher's 11th season at Sanford.
11th season. That's amazing.
Which is wild.
We better win. Let's freaking win. It felt so good to be good. I want that feeling again, Grant.
You do. Yeah. Also, Sanford basketball is going to be posting some things throughout the course of the week. Introducing the new players, basically. They just dropped their first one on social. Isaiah Campbell Finch, the a true freshman who signed under Bucky's staff and stayed with this staff, and so he's on campus. Yeah, they're going to be trickling those out. So keep an eye on for Sanford basketball social media feeds, as you can. I kind of learn about the whole new team basically we got coming up for Acup's first year. So
let's go. Let's go. I like that. I wish they would do that on the football side as well, because it would be nice to get a little more information on some of these new boys. But
that'd be a lot of posts.
It would be so many posts. They could do batches though. They could do batches. Team,
they could do that.
position groups. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, because Instagram, you can upload 20 pictures per post on Instagram. You can just go through a whole offensive line room. Here you go. Boom. Here you go. Next.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'd love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, the state of the Bulldogs is out. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the week, has a great 4th of July holiday, and we will catch you all after the break.